Yay. We're live now. Good luck.
Thank you. So I can start now.
Yes.
All right. Lovely good evening to all of you, whosoever is listening me live across worldwide. And we are on IIU platform, as you all know. So I welcome all of you on II platform. My name is Er.Sonesh Bhardwaj, and I'm joining all of you from Bangalore, India. So to start on with my today special theme program, I would love to first introduce IIU uh, is a leading virtual education system and global brand confederation, which is the most valuable and trusted worldwide and well reputed in delivering innovative programs. IIU globally is a trusted name for quality training programs and is committed to provide better and virtual education to all the young learners of the globe. IIU is a metamorphosing the conventional education system by cutting down the additional costs and providing access to more than 1,000 plus courses and internship to their e-learners across the globe with the help of its 1,000 plus global educators. In a short span of time, IIU has spread its wings in 195 countries and 6 continents under the strong leadership of its visionary founder, Mr. Piyush Pandit Sir. So I heartily welcome all of you onto this versatile platform of IIU today to have another special learning theme program which IIU is specialized in. Now, a quick brief intro about myself. So, as I mentioned, my name is Dr. Sonesh Bhardwaj, and I'm joining all of you from Bangalore, India. Today, I'm here with my special theme, which I am going to share with you. But before that, a quick brief intro about myself. So, I'm a global motivational speaker. I'm a certified life coach and leadership coach. I have been into this industry, corporate industry, for the last 18 years. I have been to various verticals like handling sales, marketing, training, operations with the various prestigious brands across the globe. And post that, I started very deeply working with a lot of dynamic leaders from the corporate industry, business owners, youth mentors. And today I am worldwidely connected with all these people, especially when it comes to the profession of mentoring, coaching, and enhancing their lot of key skill sets. I'm a certified soft skills and behavioral specialist. I also work with a lot of key dynamic team across the globe when it comes to enhancing their sales capabilities and capacities. So overall, this was a quick brief about me. Now, with respect to our today's special theme, I'm here to share my views on a very specific topic, which I'm going to share with all of you and which is very close to my heart, in fact, which I love sharing with people. So today we are going to talk about the most important theme, and I'm sure you all love, you know, uh, getting it out to your mindset, and you want to know that how to basically perform in a way that we all can basically become very powerful, enhancing our true potential to the fullest. So as the theme says, today we are here to talk about how to unlock your superpower using the spiritual dynamics. And when it comes to spiritual dynamics, it is a very vast and core, I would say, factor or agenda into any human being's life. Because today we all are running a race which is very powerful, because the competence, or probably I would say the market industry, allows us to be into, or to be a part of that race. But without understanding why we are running that race, it is quite dangerous. So the first and the foremost thing I preciously feel that we all need to understand why we are running, and are we running with our very full-fledged tools with us so that we can master that game of whatever we are trying to achieve in our life. So I'll be sharing couple of practices, couple of things which probably can be an eye opener for all of you, and you can pick couple of things from this which might help all of you to achieve bigger success in your life in whatever you are doing currently, right? So on that note, let's start. So this is a quick brief about me, as I have already shared with all of you that I have been to all these respective fields in my life, and that pretty much sets me into a tone of going and mastering and specialize into a lot of key areas. And I felt giving back to the society is a very very essential things, so why not? So, and according to me, energy dynamics, energy conversion, understanding the inner powerful energy sensation is again a very powerful game to master on. So what is spirituality? If I ask all of you, might be you have your own version of talking about this term called spirituality. Some of you might say it is something related to only dhyana, only chakras, or something related to meditation. Means you have your own version of defining spirituality as such. Well, nothing wrong. But the most important thing is to understand is spirituality is only a way of talking religious practices. Are we doing something which is adding value in a bigger dimension or bigger space? Now, that's very, very important and powerful, right? So, today, let's explore this term spirituality with the bigger dynamics and how we, being a working professionalist, no matter what, whether you are working as a, let's say you are running your own business, you're working for a multinational company, you are a teacher, you're an educator, you're working with the premium profiles, you're working with the administrative profiles, or you are contributing to a high pressurized jobs, this can really help you to go and understand that how to enhance your game of performance. Because as an individual, we all have our own dynamics, we all have our own plus and minuses, we all have our key strengths and weaknesses. So it's high time to understand all those core areas by a beautiful science, I would say something onto the notes of spirituality. Right now, let's understand slightly more what this game of spirituality is all about and how this can help all of us. So, when I talk about spirituality, it is a dynamic and an intrinsic aspect of humanity through which person seeks ultimate meaning, purpose, and transcendence and experience a relationship to self, family, others, community, society, nature, and the significant or sacred. Now, the most important point to pick up here is you might be thinking about, yes, we all know this. Question is not what you are not knowing. Question here is, after knowing, still we don't implement. Are we doing justice to it? That's the right question to ask. And I'm sure most of you will say, Sonesh, we are practicing in bits and pieces. My dear friends, just practicing something into bits and pieces is not going to give you the relevant results. You need to be 100% in your efforts so that you can get the right desired outcome, what you look out for that, right? So spirituality basically if I talk about it is, you can express it through beliefs, values, traditions, and practices. That's a complete pack you need to master when it comes to spirituality overall. And I'm sure at least this has opened slightly your eyes in terms of if any terms you were missing so far, or let's say you were not aware that what can be covered under so called spirituality. Now, let's move forward. Now, this is a very practical question to ask to each one of us, that when we talk about, let's say, spirituality, or if I talk about religion, or if we talk about individual experience, how these three terms differ from each other, and what is the necessity of including these three terms very well into an individual contribution style. Now, first thing is, we all know the meaning of religion. We probably we all know even the, I would say, the distinguishing definition of spirituality as well. But when it comes to real implementation, I think we all kind of mix match and we confuse, and that's how we lost the track. right? So now clearly, let's try to understand when I talk about spirituality. Here you actually deal and ground your thought process around. Where do I personally find meaning to me myself first so that I can go and empower people into the most powerful style? Second is, how do I feel connected? Now, when I say connected, first thing to you yourself, are you internally feeling very happy by being wherever you are? Or there is a kind of dissatisfaction lying inside you, which you are hiding up from the outer world? It means you are again not doing justice onto the spiritual dynamics. What are my values? What I'm known for, not only to the outer world, but probably to me myself first. How do I look at me? Do I respect myself? Do I respect whatever the kind of decisions I do take? Is it coming out of my ego? Is it coming out of by pretending to someone? Is it something I just want to satisfy my internal egoistic style of getting into satisfaction? You need to be extremely mindful and careful about knowing your values. And if you can truly calculate those things, those values into the spiritual dynamics, I think that's the right mastery we all need to look for. How should I live? Very practical. And I think we all want to find a right, meaningful answer to this question. But the irony of life is we all are running a race where we hardly or practically understand how life is taking us. Some of us, we have actually satisfied our mind stating a simple statement: it is life, life has to go on. My dear friends, yes, you're right, life has to go on, but probably there can be a better ways to lead your life, a life which can really give you meaningful being present here on this planet. So search out for that meaningful ideology about living a life. Always remember, you have been God's one of the, I would say, precious creation among any other creature. Because we as human, as has been blessed with so many things. And if consciously also, after having the most powerful thing available with us, we are not able to lead very happily, very powerfully, I think it's a waste of coming on this planet. It's just the acceptance, how soon we can understand, realize, and change ourselves will actually change the whole game for you. Now, that's a couple of things which, in terms of your spiritual dynamics, you should be aware of. Now, let's look on to the religion side. Nothing wrong between spirituality and religion. You will find a set of people who have a very firm belief system when it comes to religion. Again, nothing against anyone else, because everyone has fairly their own way of choosing whatever they prefer to choose in their life, right? So, people, when we talk about religion oriented, they actually follow certain practices, rites, rituals. They always try to segregate themselves. What should I follow? Based on what religion? Based on what belief system? Based on what particular practice can lead me certain way to lead my life, right? That's how they look into their kind of living. Second is they're always somewhere trying to align themselves between what is right and what is wrong. Probably people who are religion oriented, most of the time they always try to project an image what according to them, according to their belief system, or probably according to their past practices, has standpoint as right, will be termed as right for them, and something which doesn't sounds or something does not fall into their well practiced system will be termed as wrong. Third thing, most important, they always run this race of what is true or what is false. They always try to project or probably always try to give certain metaphors based on something called true value based system and something called false value based system. That's how the religion based or oriented lifespan has to go and move forward. Now, the third most important thing which you all can see, there is an overlapping system here where we are actually trying to find out something onto the individual experience level. Now let's see, we as we all have certain upbringing, we all have our own religious practices in place, because since our childhood, probably our ancestors, forefathers, our parents always try to align ourselves, our life around certain belief system, right? And that fine tuning of belief system will fall in between your spirituality and religion, and that's pretty much we juggle around. because our parents will teach us something, but we see something outside which probably need not to necessarily fall into the same dynamics. And then you start confusing yourself. Am I doing something right? Something wrong? And that's pretty much is the game we run throughout our life, right? Second thing is the comfort zone. Some of you might try to align yourself with whatever the practices given to you by your elders because you don't want to challenge yourself, you don't want to challenge the society, you don't want to challenge and come out as something where everyone is against you. You're so afraid, so you try to fairly play that game of being into your comfort zone. Third, reflection. Now, reflection is something which you try to see through outside and inside. It has to be both the ways. You cannot say you're a master when only outer dynamics is only putting and projecting you something, but internally you're not strong. Fourth one, what sort of ethics you have inculcated inside you. And finally, you get into this whole practice of feeling awe when you have the combined belief system, which comes from a very powerful system dynamics mixing of spirituality and religion's practices, and create and place yourself in a way that you feel kind of satisfied or you feel a kind of transformed from one level to another. Now, let's see what is called spiritual intelligence. Now, this is a very, very, I would say, intelligent term which we all need to master. People talk about emotional intelligence, people talk about physical intelligence, people talk about, let's say, even onto their mental intelligence. Likewise, we have something called spiritual intelligence. It is a higher dimension of intelligence that can activate the qualities and capabilities of the authentic self, and in the form of wisdom, compassion, integrity, joy, creativity, and peace, resulting in a sense of deeper meaning and purpose. I know all of you are very much aware about these terms, terminologies. It hardly matters. My question is not relevant to what you know in terms of terminology. I'm a kind of practical person who love to be onto the implementation side. My straightforward question will come to you: how many of you practice this? That's the right question you should ask. Do not fool yourself just by reading statements, just by reading definitions, just by taking and covering it out from here and there. Rather, become somebody who is so aligned and who is so true to the implementation. You know how to say yes, and you should also understand where to say no. If that's the mastery you have done, I think you are in the right alignment of being into your spiritual growth system. Till then, you are just fooling around yourself if you're calling and if you're not having acceptance towards so many things in life, right? So if we can master and we can slightly become aware, that's where we are leading the game with a game of spiritual intelligence. Let's understand what are the 5 different types of spirituality which comes into practice, because today spiritual or spirituality is a big vast term to understand. Lots and lots of people are doing a fantabulous work when it comes to spirituality, but then there are a number of people too who hardly understand anything, but they probably try to project certain things, right? So you need to be aware of where you are aligning yourself, how are you getting yourself guided up into this direction, right? Now, when we talk about types of spirituality, you need to be highly aware of, are you leading into the first phase, or I would say the first type of spirituality is something what you are practicing. What is it? Mystical spirituality. Now, what is it based on? This is based on the idea that life is mysterious event. You must have heard a couple of people coming and giving you a very philosophical term: enjoy life. Life is mysterious. Just go with the flow. You will find people using such kind of statements because somewhere they have given this kind of conviction to their brain that nothing is into your control. Just go. Whatever has to come, has to come. Nothing is in your hand, and you cannot take control of anything. Now, that's something called mystical spirituality, where you surrender yourself either to situation, circumstances, or to the supreme power, considering the fact that nothing is in your control. Second is authoritarian spirituality. Now, this is something which is associated with your combination of religious beliefs and the types which you often try to implement. Here we come with a lot of societal pressure because we have gone through a certain way in terms of our upbringing, understanding, and learning from our society and from the people in and around us. And somewhere we start projecting the same to the outer world, and we start telling people, hey, you should believe this, you should not do this, because there is a definition of right and wrong in your mind which has been inseeded right since your birth. Right? So, this is something called authoritarian spirituality. You're so firm, you're so rigid, and that's why how you want to move on. Third is intellectual spirituality. Here, people gain their knowledge from spiritual theories. I mean, they go for intense study, they go for intense degrees, they go for intense practice system, they go and meet different mentors who are probably into spiritual practices, and they try to learn into bits and pieces from different zones and different sources available to them, right? And they try to enhance their game of spirituality, and probably they want to master those dynamics by gaining a lot of theoretical concept, theological, or you will find especially people will be engaging themselves into going for a courses like, let's say, 2 years 3 years kind of spiritual practices and degrees from a very expert level kind of engineering services, right? Just to mindset that how intellectually they can groom themselves. Fourth type, service spirituality. When you help others unconditionally, there is no question in your mind why I'm helping people, why I'm giving free for people. Please understand, my dear friends, you are a human here. You have been left on this planet because of a specific reason. It's just that you have to awaken your soul. You need to understand what is your purpose. And if you have so far never awakened your soul, never understood why you are here, and you're merely doing a simple task of coming, eating, enjoying life here with family, friends, and just doing certain kind of job and just getting into certain kind of regular processes, having, kind of very materialistic way to lead your life, it means you have wasted a very big portion of your life to understand and give a meaning to it. Even this task, animals also do. Now, don't get offended. Don't feel bad about it, because it's high time we should start realizing what we are doing actually. Are we becoming self centered? Are we becoming so selfish that we only want to do everything for us? And that's where the game of spirituality never works for you, because you operate from a sense of what I'm getting, how I'm getting, and if I'm not getting, why I'm not getting. Everything is so attached to you until unless you don't detach yourself and you don't operate from an angle of unconditional way. I'm so sorry, spirituality is not the game for you. You might be great into materialistic world, but spiritual terms works on a different alignment, and this is the game you should understand. It doesn't work with something called what is there in for me. Rather, the universal powers always ask you first give the test. You are nobody to ask a question. If you fail, you fail. And if you pass, I think I have to give you another test. And if you keep passing my test, ultimately towards the end, you see what is there in it for you. Question comes, do you have a patience? Do you have a confidence? Do you have that unconditional belief system where you can really surrender yourself to somebody whom you don't see? Because spirituality works into energies, right? And that's the real game to master on. So if you feel you are alignment with that, I think you are on the right path. But if you feel no, I don't see physically anybody, how can I trust? My dear friends, then you have to first get your trust, right? And service spirituality you cannot do until unless you are not inward or inside very fine tuned in your all dynamics, because always your mind is so smart, it will be keep giving you a question, why I am doing, I'm not getting anything, I'm not earning any single rupee, I'm not getting satisfaction, I'm not getting this, I'm not getting that. These are the kind of questions which will be constantly popping up into your head when it comes to giving to somebody. You cannot give or contribute unconditionally, right? Fifth one, which is again a bigger dynamics of spirituality, something called social spirituality. Now this has an experience of where you go and you relate yourself with the right combination of religious and the spiritual activities. Here you will find a lot of people who are so called operating from a higher senses or higher way of giving back to the society in the most powerful way, whether they themselves have or not, that's secondary, but they always have their heart open to the societal needs. And if that is the game you're planning, you need to master this higher end level of spirituality where you operate completely from a zone of giving back without thinking what you have. Rather, you try to create that abundance in your life. And that's where the real game of spirituality comes into practice. Let's understand what are the 5 vital IQs which a human needs to master it. I'm sure you all know mental, emotional, physical, and moral, but please add the fifth very important core IQ level to it, and that's nothing but your spiritual IQ. Today, it is essentially important for all of us to master these 5 core areas, right? Because if you cannot balance yourself as a human, I'm so sorry, again, you cannot do justice with your full potential, right? If you really want to operate with your full dynamics, you want to be fully satisfied, you want to enjoy every single moment which comes with you. When I say moment, I'm not talking about you are into happy moment, worst moment, painful moment. Moment is a moment. You cannot define like that. You have to take it, because life never comes with conditions. Rather, it comes with a combinational pack to you. It has everything. It's a beautiful canvas where you can just draw your all colors combinations, and you can see how beautifully a painting can come out, right? So you need to master these 5 core elements. When I talk about mental IQ, it has to do with your unconscious boundless belief system. Conscious means it will be constantly questioning you. It will be keeping you stay focused on certain zones or probably targets or certain goals which you have aligned yourself in this real life, right? Super conscious means you surrender and let go to certain things, because your mental consciousness along with the element of spiritual consciousness, if can work firmly, you can have the right combination. When it comes to emotional IQ, means how well you take care of your cosmic care, how well you take care of your breath system, nourish yourself, how well you can just come out of this entire game of being so called into selfish boundings, right? Do you understand what is something in terms of your sacred sex? Now, sex is a very underestimated or overly rated term, because people so far understand it's just a merely game of intimacy. My dear friends, it's not. That's not called sex. That's just called you have some physical desires towards each other and you just want to fulfill your physical intimacy needs. That has nothing to do with sex, right? Sex, when we talk about in the spiritual dynamics, is something else where you don't need even 2 physical bodies to be physically present, right? And that will give you a wider angle to it. Next, when we talk about physical IQ, do you have your senses and centered around your strength, flexibility, grace, and bearing? Means how well you can take care of your being into physical being. I mean, if you are doing any practice which is physically aligned, which keeps your body into rhythm, which keeps your body moving in a way that it has to completely align with mind, body, and soul. When we talk about moral IQ, what sort of choices you create for yourself, how well we treat ourselves and everyone else around us, what sort of passion, strength, values, and vision conscious taking and listening abilities we have developed in terms of our conscious factor, that will pretty much fall under your moral IQ. Finally, when we talk about our spiritual IQ, it's majorly for me, it's a combination of all the remaining 4, and where you have some additional punch to it. Have you mastered the art of giving forgiveness? Do you practice gratitude? And are you enjoying joyful moment in your life? That pretty much adds to your spiritual dynamics. Basically, we are trying to understand how the energy flow happens in you, because if you don't have the element of forgiveness, you really don't understand what is gratitude is all about. Your remaining 4 IQ levels also start getting decreased one by one, and finally you will find yourself, why things are not going the way I want, why everyone is against me, why I'm not able to actually achieve what I want in my life, why everywhere there is a problem for me, why I'm feeling so stuck. Questions like these will start coming in your mind, and ultimately you'll find you have lost the track, because somewhere you need to have the right awareness. Finally, when we talk about individual wellness, I also called it the wheel of life, where we need to have these all practices in place. For me, it is essentially important, and likewise, I think for every individual, it is so very important. Today, you can't say you have a wonderful family life, but let's say your professional life is completely disturbed, or your love life is completely disturbed, or let's say your social life is completely disturbed. I'm so sorry, you're not enjoying, you're not knowing why you are here on this planet, right? Or let's say other way around, professionally, you are a business owner, you are somebody who is working at a very, very high premium, uh, valuable job profiles, right? You say, I'm very happy with the career wise, how I'm moving. Great. But let's say relationship wise, your family life, your social life, or let's say even your kind of environmental life or spiritual life is at a complete toss. Again, you are disturbed. So these are very, very essential and key component dynamics which we all need to master in all the areas, right? So these key elements are your emotionally well-being, intellectual, physical, social, environmental, financial, and finally spiritual dynamics. If you can balance all these elements, then only you can enjoy the complete wellness in you. Now, why spirituality is so very important? Let's quickly see into it. It can help you to better cope up with the stress zones. Today, we all work under high stress zones, right? Because of our jobs, because of the kind of businesses we are into, because of the kind of commitments we need to fulfill in and around our lifestyle. I think we all lead a right amount of stress in our life. Right? So, how to cope up better? I think spirituality can really help you to go and cope up with your first factor. Second is it can really develop a positive relationships, because see, today if you see the kind of divorce rate we see, the kind of marriages you see, the kind of relationships you see, people are leading a pathetic life. Now, I don't blame anybody for that. Rather, I would say much more you need to find out, are you aware about how to lead about your relationship? Relationships today has become much more a kind of promising commitments. If you do this, then I do this. If you do this, I do this. My dear friends, relationship don't work like that. It is something called unconditional commitment has to come from you if you really want to work your relationships. Today, unfortunately, that whole cycle is under disturbance just because we don't understand what is the unconditional commitment called. We really want to just make it up a game of coming, going, and being a player energy, which is not going to work for relationships, right? Third is it improves your social connection. Definitely, when you are internally very empowered, when you internally understand why a human has to be treated like a human, then the factors like ego, your self centered behavior, or let's say you start comparing people from one another, right? All these things will go and you start operating from a bigger sense of meaningful life, right? Fourth one is feeling more inclined towards gratitude. Gratitude is a very, very powerful way to lead a spiritual life, because today, let's say if you cannot be thankful of whatever you have in life, I'm so sorry, you're not doing justice. Today, whatever you have, my dear friends, a lot of people don't have in their life. At least become thankful to that, be grateful, right? And I think post COVID, it's a high sense of realization. People start realizing what is the importance of slightly onto the relationship side. Otherwise, people has become so centered, they are least bothered about what is happening next to them, right? So gratitude in the form of whatever you have today, whatever your work profile you are into, the kind of money you make, the kind of relationship, whether with your spouse, with your kids, with your parents, with your siblings, whosoever you have in your life, at least be thankful to the supreme power that these elements are into existence in your life. Think for a while, people who don't have even these elements, they are still living in the life, right? So at least you need to have a power of gratitude for everything what you have been blessed for. Finally, lead to a greater happiness, because I'm sure when you are grateful for certain things in your life, life automatically turns and takes a new dimension of happiness. You start feeling more contented, you start feeling more satisfied internally, and that's the real sense of happiness, right? Last one, experience more compassion. When you become compassionate, you stop thinking from an angle of what is in for me. Rather, you start feeling what I can contribute back to people's life. When you start operating like this, I think you are mastering a really, really powerful dimension in your life, which is going to open a new doors for you. Now, when I talk about spiritual leadership at workplace, or I talk about, let's say, even if you are a business owner running some sort of business, or let's say you are into a sort of government job, which is a high kind of stressful job, you are not able to understand why things are not happening the way I want, why things are not moving in my life. Somewhere your one element or two elements is disturbed, right? See very clearly which elements are getting disturbed. Now, spiritual intelligence, by this time, you all know because we have fairly shared in deep what is spiritual dynamics is all about, what is spiritual intelligence is all about, right? Now, when it comes to spiritual intelligence sustainability, there is a circle. And let's say you can develop a circle of empathy, compassion, and faith. Don't try to just operate from an angle of doubt feelings to everyone, because if that's the nature somewhere you have developed, you are getting away from the spiritual dynamics. Spiritual dynamics, nothing is visible to you. It's all about faith, compassion, building all those elements very strongly, and then you see miracles start coming up into your life, right? Third things, sharing and inspiring vision, where you collectively move into one direction and you start empowering people into a bigger space, because today it is highly needed for people to get aware, people to handhold each other and move more powerfully rather than segregating each other based on certain elements. Finally, the element of integrity, morality, and trust. My dear friends, today we all can become high tech. We all can learn so many things in life. But according to me, elements like integrity, morality, trust, faith, compassion, empathy are the elements which probably has a long cycle to run with us. These are all the elements which we master right from our birth, with our upbringing, the kind of social circle we have around, and the kind of, let's say, the learning we have taken from people. These all factors will be contributing very powerfully to you. So please ensure you have the right set of combination to lead a very powerful life around you. Now, let me share very quickly with all of you what are the various signs of spiritual awakening, that when you are entering into the spiritual dynamics or spiritual realm, what sort of changes you might see, but not limited to only these 11, because according to me, there is a high level of spiritual dynamics, which more and more and deeper and intense you keep going into the system, you start analyzing certain more factors. But on a very simple and common, kind of things, I love to share with all of you, which you all can see to it if you are into that alignment or not. First is you want more solitude. Second is you see through the illusion of society. You feel materialistic life is good, because see, you have to understand, you all need money today to live, right? You are not leading a life where you can say, I leave my family, I leave my kids, I leave my commitment, and I become like a kind of saint. This is not the life we are right now into, right? Spirituality never claims that you have to leave everything and just sit on Himalayas and do something. I'm not talking about that dimension. Spirituality fairly talks about that within your commitments, by leading a very happy family life around you, how you can balance each and everything. Money is essential to meet your commitments, to meet your needs, but do not become so much insane behind money that you have only money in your life and nobody else. Now, that's the mastery you need to do. So, spirituality opens a dynamics for you, that where you need to draw a line up to what amount you need of money, just be okay with that. And beyond that, start working on your other elements, which can really open a bigger dynamics for you. Synchronicity and repeating numbers can fairly come into your mindset, because people who are into spiritual dynamics can really see a very powerful synchronicities of double numbers, which are basically called in spiritual science master numbers, or angelic realms. When we talk about numbers like 111, 222, 333, 444, 555, these are all repeat numbers and very powerful angelic realm numbers. And beyond it, the more and more you keep multiplying your spiritual practices, you start seeing numbers like dimension of 1111, which is the most powerful angelic, Michael angelic number repetition, which actually really puts you into a very powerful dynamics. Fourth, you crave for meaning and purpose in your life. This is a very, very powerful and meaningful statement I would like to share. Sometimes it so happen you are making a hell lot of money, you have friends around you, you have your social life, you are enjoying your life to the core, but still internally you are so lonely. You feel, I am not sure what is missing, but I am not able to enjoy my life fully. You have everything, but still you don't feel a sense of it. And that's where you need to understand it's big time and high time for you to start finding more meaning to your life, right? Fifth one, you feel completely lost and alone. You feel, I don't know what's happening to my life. Nothing goes. Why am I even on this planet? Questions like that start coming to you, right? Sixth one, changing sleep patterns. Let's say you have been a person who used to sleep 3 o'clock in the midnight because you're a kind of night owl, and you suddenly start shifting your night patterns from, let's say, you start sleeping around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Or let's say if you're a kind of morning person, you start again, finding some change in sleep patterns. That's where you need to understand you have entered into some sort of spiritual awakening. Having more unusual and vivid dreams, you feel, why this dream, it's not making any meaning in any sense, why I'm getting such a weird dreams. Yes, that can be a powerful sign towards your spiritual awakening. Suddenly there is a sudden desire or change in your career. Let's say you are doing fantabulously great in one career, but suddenly you start feeling a very strong urge to change your career, to change your dimension, or something went wrong where you need to take a different path. That's a real understanding that somewhere there is a different calling for you. You have increased self talk, means you spend a lot of time talking to yourself because you feel it is so important to understand who I am, why I am, and why I'm into existence, right? 10th one, a desire to eat healthier. You start becoming a lot towards veggie. You start becoming, okay, I want to try something which is more natural, which is more organic, right? Those things can be a signs that you are entering into your spiritual awakening. Finally, deep desire to connect with nature. You start connecting with animals, you start feeding birds, you start feeding animals around you, you start connecting to plants, you start connecting, start uh, you know, gi- bringing a lot of plants to your home and start just creating a kind of garden in and around you, right? Because you feel that you're more connected to greenery, or you start spending time a lot with hilly areas. That's the best way to understand you're entering into your spiritual awakening. So, my dear friends, these are a couple of signs. If any one of you start connecting to these things, please feel happy and feel good. And it's real time for you to take a transformational life and lead a very, very powerful magnetic life around you. What are spiritual needs? Need for love, hope, trust, forgiveness, being respected and valued, dignity, fulfillment of life, values, creativity, connecting with higher power, and belonging to a community. If you look at this, is an entire complete jam-packed packet for you to lead a powerful life. Right. Next one is, what is the importance of spirituality when it comes onto the personal level, or let's say when I talk about at the global level. Personal level, it can really give you very good results in terms of maintaining your health, stress, create harmony with self, family, society. You know your purpose of life, why you are here, right? At a global level, it will help you to identify what is the difference between materialism and selfishness, creation of all problems, right? Spirituality means the kind of love, unconditional love, kindness, equality, solution to your all problems you have. These are all the factors you will start feeling and start contributing very powerfully and empowerly. Now, let's understand the dark side of spirituality, because according to me, if something can have plus, definitely there is going to be a negative. So, it's very important for all of us to understand the negative side of spirituality as well. And what is that? It can sometimes put you into hopelessness, helplessness. Let's say if you don't have the right mentor or guru around you who can really make you understand what's happening around you, you can really create mess in your life. My sincere advice to all of you, if let's say you are not internally so empowered, internally not powerfully oriented, kindly do take off help of expert and only practice spirituality under right guidance, because then only you can lead seriously a meaningful life around you. Sometime you might get a feeling of anger, unfairness, abandonment, guilt, You are completely confused. You start getting unnecessary fear around you. You start feeling everything is going to go wrong around you because somewhere you are blocked. Your energies are blocked. You don't know how to get out of that entire fear. So your right mentor can really help you to break those bondages and come out of that as a winner. Fear and vulnerability. Vulnerability means you always hesitate what people will think around me, how people are going to judge me, how people treat me if they come to know about my this kind of weakness. If such kind of fears are there, my dear friends, you seriously need a mentor around you. Finally, a feeling of isolation or being too much alone is also not good practice. If any one of these symptoms you find around it, it's a sign for you that you need a right mentor or you need to practice the right way of getting yourself on the right alignment, right? That these are a couple of points which can really put on to the dark side of spirituality. Now, finally, I want to give you how by simply practicing a simple practices in your life, you can really start your path of spirituality and you can lead a more meaningful, powerful life around you. First is just be yourself. My dear friends, today we are living in a very superficial world where we have lost the meaning to we ourselves. We sometimes hardly understand who we are. You need not to project an image just to make people happy around you. This is the first principle of spirituality you need to master in your mind. Spirituality, first you become powerful and then you powerfully radiate and empower people in a right meaningful sense. Example I can give you, you will might find a lot of people who are practicing their spiritual practice in a very isolated place. You hardly know them on social media. You hardly know them. You never heard probably their name, but the kind of work they are contributing to the society is so powerful. You say, like, why these people don't have, let's say, a kind of powerful orientation towards social media? Because today everybody wants to have name, fame, and kind of, you know, whereabouts. But these are different people. They don't need all that because for them, their universal world is everything because that's a different world. And they start feeling more connected to they themselves. And that's why they lead very powerfully. Right. So they actually operate from a kind of energy where people get attracted to them rather than they become attraction to somebody. And that's really powerful. Secondly, know what you need. You're not a kind of person who actually indulge in lot of silly areas. Somebody is fighting, you unnecessarily go and put your head into it. Somebody is actually trying to get a meaningful views from you, you don't open your mind or mouth because you feel, what if I contribute and I can be a part of some sort of criticism? I don't want to be. So you really don't understand where to open your mouth and where not to open your mouth, right? Please master that. Live like a human. You are a human. You are not somebody who doesn't have a common sense, right? Third, explore your spiritual practices. Now, when I say spiritual practices, these can be a number of things. You can take a help from a right mentor, right guide, somebody who is very, very practically aligned to spiritual practices. My dear friends, when I say practically oriented, don't just go by theoretical concepts of spirituality. That is not spirituality. Context is needed, but more than that, it is powerful implementation, what is needed to bring the change and lead a transformational life. So look out for somebody who's a tough mentor, who has really gone through a lot of transformational journey, and then you see these people can really do miraculous change in your life. Fourth, quiet your mind. As we all are smart, we ask 1,000 questions. And if you are working for a very hardcore, high premium jobs or somewhere into top MNCs or somewhere into the government sector, I'm sure your mind is constantly saying, hey, you are best. You know everything. You don't need a mentor. You don't need a coach. You don't need somebody in your life just to tell you who you are. If that is the mind you are operating, it's high time for you, it's high call for you that stop doing this complete injustice to you. You are here to lead few more beautiful, I would say more beautiful moments in your life. Why are you stopping that? Why you still want to lead a life which is full of ego, which is full of comparison, which is just full of show off, which is just full of not even contributing anything back to society because you live only from an angle of self-centered being selfish? You need not to. While when you can lead a powerful game, just be open to that and start embracing those changes in you. It's beautiful. Fifth one, develop your intuition. This will really take a long time for all of you, and that only comes with the right practice system. Intuition is not my brain is giving me some sign, my heart is becoming oversensitive, so I start doing all this. That's not called intuition. Intuition means when your body, mind, and soul is aligned, or you start aligning, automatically you will start taking a collective decision, and that's really powerful. Sixth one is surround yourself with nature, because through the nature or through this beautiful creation of universe, natural elements always will try to pull you more strong, and you will automatically develop that natural senses and natural practices in you. Seventh one, pay attention to signs. As so far I've shared, there are a lot of universal signs. When you are into spiritual journey, you will start seeing things like feather, you start seeing numbers, synchronicity, you start seeing suddenly somebody singing a song, or some name is repeatedly coming in front of your eyes, and you see what is the connection I do have with this person or so and so person. What is the connection? Why am every back and forth I'm coming across to only one individual personality? That might be a call that you are aligned on some spiritual path. That might be a call that you can learn from each other very powerfully. That might be a call that in going forward in near future, you might be attracting towards a very powerful, I would say, individual game of leading your life. There is some connection. What is that connection? You need to understand. Finally, get introspective. Don't become a person who says, I am perfectly all right, because we live a life of so called superficial perfectionism. Don't chase for it. You should feel absolutely okay being imperfect, because when you have a space of improvisation, then only you can take necessary steps in your life and to lead a more meaningful and to completely open your hidden potential to the best. And that's the way you all can lead a supremely happy, contented, a life which is free from, I would say, free from, at least to a point, from ego, from being proving yourself to people, believing on certain stuff which might not or hardly make any sense to you. It may be societal belief system, breaking down all the shackles around you, which is actually stopping you not to give your powerful punch in the form of meaningful outcome. If those are all the blockages, please remove. And spirituality can really, really help you big time if you practice under the right mentor, right guide to open up those dimensions and lead a more meaningful, happy life. Right? On this note, I will be closing. If some of you want to connect with me and want to get more insight in terms of your spiritual healing, intuitive healing, you all can feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. This is my profile where you all can feel free to connect with me. On YouTube as well, you can connect with me. But yes, I'm very active in terms of my LinkedIn engagement. So definitely you can all connect with me. On that note, I thank all of you for being such a lovely audience, caring me beautifully on this wonderful topic, which I was thinking to share with all of you since a very long. And I once again thank IU platform for giving me this wonderful opportunity to come and share such a beautiful theme to empower people into the most powerful dynamics of spirituality. Love, light, and abundance. God bless you all. Take care of yourself. Thank you so much. I'll connect with you once again.